like, nope, I take my boat out on the water and I eat bagels for breakfast.
Yeah, I'm back. Thank God.
Sean, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Chris, are you recording already?
Yeah, we're going.
Uh, oh, oh. Let's get started then. Yeah.
Important. But like what we need to like the thing that's to me that's important about definitions is that it doesn't limit the creativity and it doesn't limit like the options that come out of it. So if you're like that's why I'm fighting you so hard on like if it's a flip or not, because if you say yes, this is a flip and this is not a flip, it's going to force people to stray away from certain things. It's like giving titles to dub dubs and being like, this is a dub dub and this is not a dub dub. And you're like, yeah, but the things that are not dub dubs are generally cooler. Like if I'm going to do a Snapu Hyper double B twist, and you're going to tell me that's not a dub dub because the math doesn't quite add up in a Snapu Hyper, then I like, why are you giving like almost like a gold medal ranking to like a trick that's not as difficult as another trick? It's like, but you're not going to name that something special too. Like it's weird to give things special names when like it's not necessary. And I feel the same way about like using flip to categorize things.
I guess I can see where you're coming from on that. I guess like seeing things from a gymnast perspective of if it's not a flip, it's pretty much just like a dance scale at that point.
Yeah, and that actually makes a lot of sense too, because I'm coming from a point of like this, we can't limit our creativity. We don't want to define things too directly. Otherwise, it's going to cause people to stray a certain way just because of titles. But then you are like, titles are important because we structured the sport for this. So if you start telling me that a flip's not a flip, then like now our sport has no grounds. Like if someone is basically like arguing that like if I kick you, it's a punch. And like so now in boxing, can I kick you? Like that's kind of what I'm saying. So now I'm the stupid person, but at the same time, a punch is a kick.
You don't want to limit the creativity. And I get where you're coming from that. Yeah. I'm just saying like if it ever came down yes, I can agree on that point. Like you don't want to limit the creativity, and that what makes things kind of weird. So I guess I can get behind it on that point of kind of like changing that point of view a little bit in my end, at least like tricking wise. But if someone came up to me like, is this a flip? Generally, I would say no, just because of like certain definitions that I have. Like I would still say it's a really cool trick and it's a good thing to learn. It's just depending on how you land it and how you're going to go about learning it is going to change if it feels like a flip or doesn't feel like a flip. And those are going to be like two of the big things, because especially if you're trying to swing it, it has to flip. But if you're not trying to swing it, it doesn't really need to flip. Because like if you watch triple Bs, do any of them flip? You're just going to try to say yes. And I know that's what you're saying.
Because it's a flat spin and a flat spin is a flip. But
a lot of them are like this.
Yes, but this is the important part that I see is that none of them are landing like, how do I say this? Like, none of them are landing like the gymnasts in the video that were attempting double B, where
they don't just drop like a rock.
Right. Like if you're going to do a double B and you're going to set your foot up and then you do the double twist, but then say your feet come down the same spot that you lifted them up. And that means you didn't flat spin. You basically swung your leg, you back kicked, and then you spun and you come right back down. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's not a flip.
Yeah.
But because their feet follow all the way around and they face the direction that they came from, that to me means that there had to be a flip in play because they were doing more than twisting. Because you can't achieve that direction change. Like say you're doing a front flip half twist. There was a flip and a twist. And I understand that this doesn't go directly over the head, but the feet did change. Like you did change position during the air with more than a twist. So I'm saying it's a flip because of that. And that's also what I'm saying. There are some B twists that when you do B twist vanish 9, you do not achieve that direction change. You're maintaining the direction. That's why things like a twisty fist, well, it's called a spiral knuckle. I just always call it that. Things like a spiral knuckle exist where you do a B twist, but you land on the same leg that you take off of in the same direction that you take off in. if that makes any sense. So it's a 360 dive roll off, like, but you take off like a B twist, but then you put your foot down before you roll, and instead of rolling, you cartwheel. I hope I explained that well.
You did, but like, oh.
But do you understand why that's not a flip? Because you don't, there's no flat spin. It's not a vertical, but a 360 dive roll isn't, like, if you do a 360 dive roll, but you don't roll it, but you land on your stomach, that's not a flip, even though you're horizontal.
Yeah, you're literally doing some weird jump and going like this and like.
And landing on your belly, but that's not a flip, because even though you could be very horizontal and achieve that horizontal axis that might even match that, like it'd be right on the line of yours, like it isn't a flip, but like it's not a flip because you're not flipping. So like I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just saying like that misses my requirement, which actually also misses your requirement. So there's like a part of this that we agree on.
Yes, I can agree on that part. Okay, so I guess moving a little bit past it to kind of, in my opinion, explaining a little bit why, because we both agree on like flat spinning is just exponentially harder than what you would say like vertical twisting.
Yeah.
Has anybody done a quad B?
No.
Actually.
No one's ever done it, but there have been triple B twists and way less triple B twists than triple corks. But I think that a big part of that is not only just the fact that it might be harder, but also the fact that like there's no setup for it. Like mechanically, the human body just doesn't have a setup to allow us to do that. Not that our body can't do it, like, but if there was something like a scoot that could give us, a setup into that, it just like there just isn't. Like mechanically, there just isn't one that exists.
I'm gonna come up with something.
Okay, come up with something. Like you could argue that, like a cartwheel, like there's like cartwheel boneless triple corks. So like do you know what that is? Boneless?
I'm trying to think of what that is, and I am not 100% certain.
Okay, so you do a cartwheel and you land in hyper, right?
Okay.
And now you're gonna lean off of your hyper foot onto your back foot, and then that original hyper foot is gonna swing into a cork. So you transferring from hyper onto your back leg and then just going to swing. So that is a version, like that's called boneless. Like if you're going to do a triple, it's called boneless triple cork. Even though you came from a cartwheel, you're still swinging into a triple cork. So it's a boneless triple cork. And so if there was something that you could use like a cartwheel, somehow like punch it, but still achieve like some sort of flagella, then you would be able to technically do like some sort of boneless triple B twist or potentially quad it. I don't know. There's just like mechanically not really a way to do, but that's literally the only reason why I think. I mean, it is like way harder, but like just the height that you can achieve is just way less because the setup's fucked.
Yeah. I'm almost
like, I feel like there's like, but this is the other thing. Like if you do like a quad B twist off of a height that was like see what are the rules? Like say you could like achieve, like say that your B twist matched the height of a quad cork that has been done before, but you did it off of a ledge to achieve that height. Now does it count? Like what are the limitations to allow? Like
I guess I'm saying
now
like
there's no setup. So what are you using? Maybe the wall is a setup to allow for that same amount of height to achieve the trick.
What if you were in? I'm trying to think of the name for this, and I want to say it's invergato, but it's not. I don't think it's invergato. How do I explain this? Kind of like a crooked front walkover. You're doing it with one hand.
Reverse.
So since I'm a lefty, I put my right hand down, step on my right foot, and then I'm pretty much coming through like that hyper motion with my left.
Yeah, reverse.
So I should be coming down forward. So what?
Reverse out.
Reverse out. So you can do reverse out and do it. So if you can get a good enough setup to go into a fast reverse out, feasibly, that could do it if you do it almost like a front handspring in a way where you're really coming quick off that hand.
Yeah.
So you can really just focus on turning and coming quick into that lead and snap. Like you could do it.
You could do it, but it's not easier. It's harder for sure. It's harder for sure.
Like, hey, if you enjoy our content and you want to show some support, make sure you follow us on Spotify and Instagram. Our Instagram tag is _flip_side_podcast. Just make sure to go on there. Just shout out like old episodes that you liked, anything about the new episodes. You can comment on any of them. We would really appreciate it. And if you do end up wanting to go a step further, just become a supporter. All you have to do is follow the link in the description in any of our episodes that we've published. And you can also go under the About section in our Spotify homepage.
You can do as little as 99 cents a month. Any amount that you guys support us is going to help us build a better podcast and help build better trickers around the world. For sure. Like, and there's like things like what are some setups? Like, I mean, like aerial mega double B has been done. So like you front swing the aerial basically, or like, but it's a mega, so you're not actually front swinging, but you're like going off that hyper leg, and you're taking off and you're double B twisting out of it. That's a wild one. Otherwise, you could also do like it would be like a dark side mega. So you do like dark side mega into like a double A twist, but that would probably, like I'm saying, like would turn into an A twist over a B twist. Like once you start messing with setups to allow for power, now you're just kind of like changing the trick a little bit, because the setup is so like it's so directional. Like you have to be flat spinning, and like when you're generating power, there's not really a way to generate enough friction to allow flat spin as a setup on ground. It just like doesn't really. Like, because you're flat spinning, how can you do anything other than spin in a circle like everybody does?
I mean, that is true. So I guess that's one reason. That's another reason why flat spinning is so hard, is because it's so much harder to get into. Like if you're not doing a simple skill into it, or you're not doing it as like the beginning, there's not a way to get into it very efficiently. And that's why I think, especially like, because you would think, okay, B twist, cork. B twist is super easy.
Yeah.
Like
compared to cork. There's like more mechanics required for a cork. But if you try to chain B twists, it's way harder than chaining a cork. You know? So it's like, it's also required, like, what are you using it for? What are you doing out of it? Are you trying to add twist to it? Are you trying to do a variation into it? Because once you start adding a variation to B twist, now it's harder than cork. Adding variations to cork is way easier,
True. And I'm thinking of it as just like the base. I guess that's where my thought process is. It's just like as a base skill, like if you're learning it, B twist is just so far and away easier than doing a cork. It is. Yeah. But if like you're doing anything to connect, cork is way easier, because it just has so many easier ways to go into it and out of it, where B twist just doesn't. But if you're looking at it as strictly like those two skills, like even when you get to double, I would say those are probably about the same in like difficulty of getting.
Yeah, I agree, because there's a lot of people who actually get double B twist before double cork, especially those people who come from like a Taekwondo background. They'll actually teach B twist in Taekwondo, I've seen. So they come to tricking with that knowledge already, so they just have way more experience in B twist already and less experience in double cork, and it just happens. So,
and then you get to like triple, and it shifts. It's like triple B is, I could like imagine, like if I worked on it, I could probably get double B. If I thought about triple B, I'm like, I'd probably get triple cork before I ever did triple B.
Yeah, I could double B vanish 9, and I maybe one day could do double B twist hyper, and it would be really bad, but it would literally be like a foot switch. It wouldn't even be like extra twist. Like the idea of doing a triple B twist does not compute.
No, it sounds like
it does not compute. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And you see the people who have landed it, and they get ridiculous height. So
it's because like
ridiculous. The block, I mean, the block that they hit, it's just like, what? How is that even?
It has to be so perfect that it's insane.
Yeah,
because it's just so much harder for like no good reason. Is it harder? It's just harder.
Yeah.
Like that's what sucks. But that's why I mean, especially from like these two prime examples, that's why I would say more quote unquote, to give it some generalization in some kind of a box, flip twists, like corks and any kind of variations that are coming out of corks, and like maybe some like cheat 9s and stuff like that, if you're starting to flip it a little bit, or like aerial, are easier. Or even A twist, I would say, is probably a little bit easier than most things that consider flat spin to a certain degree, which aren't 100% flip twists.
Okay, yeah, this is interesting. I think they are easier because they're less complex, but I don't think that they're more efficient. Like, for example, standing full over the shoulder tricker style is more efficient than standing full directly over the head vertically.
So what you're saying is standing cork is easy.
Yes. The reason that cheerleaders do it the way that they do is because it's extremely efficient, because it's easier to learn it that way, because they have so much energy going in the wrong directions. They're doing it on dead floor. Cheerleaders are generally just smaller people because they're being thrown in the air. That's who they recruit, right? And so they don't have a lot of power to generate. They're on dead floor, and the dead floor is actually usually squishy, so that's not helpful. So, and they're wearing shoes, and there's just they're wearing skirts. There's a lot of things, and they have long hair. There's just a lot of things in their way, and because of that, they have to be extremely efficient with what they're doing, and they don't usually have a coach teaching them very well. From what I've seen, usually the coaches are just like parents that are supervising, at least unless you're like a high level cheerleading group, that it's different. But generally people who are starting out and they're like learning their fulls for the first time, that's kind of what they're coming from. And so that is what they fall into, I think, because it's extremely efficient. And it's it just is. They have a lot of excess energy going in the wrong directions, and because of that, they have they have very little energy to work with, and so that's what they do. And trickers are inherently lazy, and that's what we do too.
You are not wrong.
Hey.
You try to find the easiest way to get it done, and then it's like, oh, cool, I did that.
Exactly.
That's why some snatch cannons aren't snatch cannons, but hey.
Exactly. Work smarter, not harder.
Work smarter.
But like you see, like another really good example of that is like standing double full. Like that. Have you ever seen a standing double full that goes over the top? Like those are all sideways.
Yeah, those are all pretty like,
because it's more efficient.
Standing double full is just stupid though. Like, why would someone try something like that? That's like doing standing double back. Like, that's just dumb.
And people do it, and they land it.
Yeah, which is already crazy enough. And I've seen videos where people do double backs on freaking grass, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, standing double back on grass. Yeah, I know. That is a flip. Fun fact.
Really? I didn't think that was a flip. I don't know.
2 of them.
2 of them? Oh.
Yeah.
God, I don't know.
If you look at human anatomy, past the floor twice. So based on that, it's a double flip, but it could be called one flip because your feet don't touch the ground in between.
G-switch gainer. It's just a weird continuous movement.
Exactly. That's what we always used to say. We'd be like, a double back is just one long flip. That's what we used to say because it made it less scary. This is why you can't.
I'm just gonna use that for kids. I'm gonna be like, double back isn't that hard. They're like, why? Because it's just one really long flip.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
No, that's not what that is.
No, that's exactly what it is. You can't be like, it's a double flip. What does that mean? That means that your life is in danger a lot of times. You're in a compromising position throughout. But if you say it's
after you're a quarter of the way through or before you're 1.5 of the way through, you're pretty much dead.
Yeah. Don't move. But if you're
anything in between here, don't let go.
Right, but it's the same rule if you're doing just a backflip. If you're doing just a backflip, the same rule applies. From the quarter in and the quarter out, you're at. But it's just one long flip that also encompasses that rule.
So then is triple backflip just like an even crazier long backflip?
It's one really long flip. Exactly 1/3 longer than a double back and 2/3 longer than a single.
Longer. You son of a bitch.
It's a single back, a double back, and a triple back.
No one's done quad that I know of. If someone does quad that way, oh my God, I might actually lose my mind.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna happen.
It's gonna
one
happen.
day. It's just gonna happen.
The triples are pretty crazy, and they're like variating the triples too. They're doing triple pikes and stuff.
Laid triple.
Oh yeah,
with a full. I've seen it.
I've seen the quad on that thingy where they run in a straight line and do lots of back handsprings.
They do whipbacks. They usually don't do back handsprings, but yes.
Yeah,
It's called
whipbacks.
power tumbling.
Yeah, power tumbling. I've seen him quad back in that.
I
Uh-huh.
I've seen some attempts, but like into loose foam, but not onto a mat. Like if they've done it onto a mat,
Okay, I'll have to
that's
look at it again. I'm not sure.
yeah, because that's actually nuts. But
I
I've
just
seen
saw it and
people
I was like,
do,
oh shit.
but I've seen people do full in trips, which is just
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there was actually also a guy on double mini. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this, even though people may quote me on this. Did quad half on double mini for their like first part of the
Yeah.
routine. I don't know how
Whoa.
the routines work, but it went. I'm like, I just watched. I'm like, how? Because like quad
One
front
front flip that took 4 times as long as a normal front flip with a half twist.
in the same amount of time, you had to do one front flip
Yes.
because you leave it and land at the same amount of time.
He is flipping for 4 times as long as normal. It's not one slow flip, it's one long flip. This is how my brain works. I don't know. I don't know what's
Oh no,
happening.
I actually use that with an analogy with the skater that I'm teaching backflips to because I was like, no matter how high you jump, you can't jump for longer than a second. It's physically impossible. Like literally physically impossible. Like it's not a thing. So like in the same amount of time, even if you change your angle, like yeah, your time is going to be different by like such a small margin that it doesn't really change anything
Yeah,
beyond like if you're going to
efficiency.
pull over correctly.
Yeah.
But I
That's
was like,
really
so you
smart.
want to give yourself as much height as possible, so you have as much time off the ground as possible to then finish the skill with as
Yes.
much time as possible.
Right.
It's
Because
very minuscule, but it makes all the difference.
yes. Okay, I'm glad you did say that because I was gonna be like, you can go longer than a second. Like you can. And you're like, yes, that's what you're saying.
No, that is not what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought that's what you just
If
said.
you're just so not punching, not doing stuff like that, but just
Okay.
jumping, you can't go longer than a second, if I remember
Well,
correctly.
I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan had like a hang time of like 4 seconds.
Okay. Okay. You know what? I'll look that up later. I'll put it in the video at this point of just being like, cannot happen. And if I'm wrong, I will say Sean is wrong, which is fine. But I'm pretty sure I've seen it where it's either not longer than a second or it's not longer than like a certain amount of time. But standing and jumping, there's no way you can last longer than a second. Anyway, we're way off topic. So
Whoa, you're right.
huh.
It says, in fact, the maximum hang time a normal human can manage is 1 second, no more than that. Michael Jordan's longest hang time record, the time when he remained airborne, the longest is 0.92 seconds.
Did you know how long that would feel?
That's a long time, bro. What? That's insane. I did a snatch cannon.
Yeah.
And a
And you were
triple
probably in the air less time than he
pole.
was.
Yeah. That's crazy. Plus, I barely jump. That's why I do everything off one leg. Because if I could jump, then I would be doing 2-legged skills. But I'm doing 1-legged skills because I can't jump. Because it's more efficient for me. That's wild, dude. I'm fast as
Told you.
fuck. What? Dude, you're smart.
Sean was right.
Sean was right. I'm glad we looked it up
Yet
now.
again.
Yeah, you were nervous.
I was a little bit. I was like, shit, did I get that wrong?
No, you were totally right. That's wild. I did not think it was that short.
Yeah, it's dude, gravity is weird.
Yeah, I jump, bro. I jump, and I thought I was up there, but I
Nah,
guess
Michael
not.
can't jump.
Yeah, no, nope.
Yeah, we are like getting way off topic, but we'll conclude of just agreeing flat spin is harder for like pretty much zero reason why it's harder, except for that just there's no really efficient setup into it or like
Yeah,
power move into it,
right.
which really sucks. But my perspective, at least a little bit, has changed on is B twist by itself, at least like considering flat spinning skills that I can name off the top of my head because we know me, I don't know that many. Is there's times where it's a flip, but there's times where I still don't see it as a flip. But that's just me.
Yeah,
Where Chris doesn't want to put it under a box, which I get because of creativity reasons, and I understand that. But like I kind of think of if a kid came up to me and was like, "Oh, dude, I did this really cool flip," and then they show me that, and it's like here, and it's like a B twist, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Yeah. No,
Got
I agree with all of that with and like I even agree with like explaining it to a kid like that, assuming that they aren't doing some crazy complex thing. But like I think that there is a realm that exists where you are vertical and still flipping. I think that is a
Yes.
thing that can be done. And I think that it's all based on how the hips are moving through space. So yeah, I think if you're, and I mean, a kid could do it, but just probably not on purpose. Like if he's brand new to the sport, he's not thinking of these crazy, wild ideas of like, I just did a
No.
cork, but vertically. And you're like, maybe.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Like it's probably a swing 9 at that point, unless he's like, but unless it was an accident and he could repeat it. It's just like
Yeah.
some wild
Ain't that
stuff.
truth.
Yeah.
All right. So
All
yeah,
right.
leave a comment down below, or like shoot us a message on Instagram, or like leave a comment on an Instagram post about this of like, which do you think is harder, or like, do you agree is B twist mainly just not a flip skill?
Yeah.
And
Am
is
I
Sean right?
am I crazy?
Oh yes, no, you are crazy. That's a whole different.
That was
a whole different thing.
I was like, if I say enough sentences, he's gonna forget what the question was, and I'm gonna maybe make sense at the end.
If I walk him around in a circle enough times, he might agree with
eventually I'll just change the topic, and then I'm right.
But snatch cannons most of the time still aren't snatch cannons, and I will die on that hill. If
Okay.
that's okay.
All right. Good thing we already have an episode of that. If you're interested,
Yeah,
go
I know.
listen.
All right, so perfect. Since looks like we're all wrapped up, we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Don't forget to follow us on the_flip_side_podcast on Instagram.
And CHRISPY_TRIX. That's chrispy-trix on Instagram. And I also have another YouTube channel, TrixFix, TRIX space FIX, for more tutorials and other things.
And we'll see you guys next time.